Yay!
Yay! Just in time.
Aha!
Patrick's Day. Woo woo!
Woohoo!
Some of the blabbers do like songs and stuff. We're not that fun. We need to have some songs at some point.
Like we could have a theme song. That could be fantastic.
Absolutely. And I want you to make up the whole thing.
I could do that in Finale or GarageBand.
Yes. Well, I am
about
to get, so you had computer problems too, and I
Yes.
get on the Wi-Fi, and then my computer, when I got the Wi-Fi, wouldn't start. I had to restart. So anyway, lots of fun stuff. I've already started recording. So if you are watching now in the live time or in the future, we just want to say welcome to the Microsoft Mix. You are talking to you're talking to Susie Lolly, and my Twitter handle is @LollyTeacher, and I'll let my friend over here introduce herself.
And I am Mary Willis. It's MERRY, and my Twitter is @MaryWillis. And we are both Microsoft Innovative Educator experts from Cherokee County, and are excited to share with you about OneNote.
And this is our episode 4. So we've had a lot of fun with Mix. That was a really cool call because we actually got me, or one of the developers, to call with us from, excuse me as I scoot up, I'm at the church, but to call with us from California. And let's see, what else we talked about. We did an episode on Sway.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun. And then our very first one was about, just went blank. What did we talk about the first time?
We did Snip and Docs.
Thank you. Okay, I just went blank.
Yes.
I knew we had done lots of greatness, whatever it was. I just couldn't think. So we are going to share with you, and I'll post the link in just a minute. We're going to share with you our OneNote notebook as we talk about OneNote tonight. And I'm sure she and I will both have different things to say about it. Mary is currently a classroom teacher who does the lab, basically. What's your title again? The STEM?
I'm a STEM enrichment specialist.
Yes.
So I do a STEM lab.
And it was a really fun title. I just couldn't think of what the name of it was. And I'm an instructional technology specialist. And as she said, we're Cherokee County, but that's in the great state of Georgia, in case you are just tuning in for the first time. And hopefully some other callers will join us. I know we're expecting a couple other MIEs, and they probably were here when we couldn't get on. So
we couldn't get in, yes.
If they
I thought, well, they're slackers.
So anyway, I want to give you props for getting on, though. I'm really proud of you for getting your computer to work. So anyway, we're going to talk OneNote. And just to kind of give you a basic overview, OneNote is the best note-taking program there is. I will confess, I was at Georgia ETC a couple years ago, our Georgia Technology Conference, and saw this girl taking notes on an app that I thought was so cool. And I'll confess, it wasn't Microsoft, it was actually Notability. And what I liked about it was that it could do handwriting. Like, there's times when, I don't know, Mary, if you feel this way, I just want a pen in my hand. Yes. I'm a nerd. I'm an English teacher. I do like paperless, but I don't think I want to go totally paperless. Actually, I'm going to share a funny video in the links too that is hilarious about some situations where you cannot go paperless. So I'm going to leave the suspense in the air for that one. But anyway, I was using this this app Notability that I had to pay for. Well, OneNote is absolutely free. And not only is the note taking free, and now you can do handwriting in it, which you could not a couple years ago. Not only that, but it's got so many new features. I had teachers screaming the other day in a good way. At one of my middle schools, I just had them like so enthusiastic when I showed them the new tools for students with dyslexia or other issues, when I showed them the class notebook add-in. So we've got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time to do it tonight. So I'm going to have to step out at 7:30. So we're going to try to get as much done as we can before then. So Mary, what's your favorite? Let's start. What's your favorite thing with OneNote, new or old or whatever?
My favorite use of OneNote is actually a personal use, and I use OneNote to organize all of my travel documents. I went to Europe last summer on a solo trip for 31 days, and I had a OneNote notebook that had all of my reservations and hotel stuff, flight stuff, stuff I wanted to see, tickets and reservations I had made for activities, and maps of all of the transit systems for all of the cities that I was visiting. Train schedules. I mean, everything was in there. And because it would sync with my phone, I didn't have to worry about a data charge. So I had my phone with my OneNote, and I had everything right there. And I didn't have that big binder of travel folders, because for a month, that was a lot of paper.
Yeah.
So, and I've got one going for Denver now and one going for some other trips that are coming up. And it's very exciting.
So we'll announce to y'all, she and I were some of the chosen ones, and I can't remember, but it wasn't everybody that had the opportunity to go, but I looked for Mary's name, and hopefully she looked for mine to make sure we were included in the same group. I'm like, maybe, hopefully Mary's in there. She got selected to go to the kind of a pre-ISTE MIE meetup, and it's called Forum, and I'm just doing really well tonight. I can't remember the name of anything, so
it's the Microsoft Innovative Educator Forum.
Okay, so good. I wasn't too far off, but anyway, so she and I are going to go to Denver for a couple days, courtesy of Microsoft. Just a sidebar: if you're not an MIE, which is the first level, but then if you've been an MIE but you haven't done the MIEE, then you're really missing out. Just if for nothing else, the travel benefits, which I plan on. I'm finding a conference in California or Hawaii next year. That is my goal, and I'm going to go there.
I am going to one the 2 days after spring break. I'm presenting at the Technology and Innovation and Education Conference in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Oh, wow. I bet that's so amazing.
So I'm excited. I've never been to South Dakota. And it actually, kind of I had to do some flight finagling because I had a flight back to Atlanta from DC because I'll be in DC over spring break just for fun. And so I had a flight booked from DC to Atlanta. Well, to get to Sioux Falls, it didn't make sense to come back to Atlanta. So I'm flying from DC to Sioux Falls and then from DC back to Atlanta after the conference.
And so all of that to say, Mary the World Traveler can organize everything. And she was talking about personal uses. I use it for recipes. I am forever calling, and my husband, I don't think is tuned into this call. So I think he's not, because I would see him down there. But my husband, I would forever call and say, hey, I'm going to make such and such for dinner. Will you go in there and find the recipe? He could never find the recipe. He can't find a shirt. I love him, but he can't
find anything. Yeah.
So I had this huge recipe book that I used to just carry in my car so that I would have it and not have to call home. Well, I got a brilliant idea that I would just take pictures of all my recipes, because one of the coolest features of OneNote is you can copy text from a picture.
Yes.
So it didn't work 100%, but I tried directly using like the pictures, and it just would never sync with my phone. It was just too huge because of all the recipes I had. But copying the text from the pictures is feasible. And now when I go to the grocery store, I can say, okay, here's such and such that I need. So for personal use, OneNote is great. And if you're not familiar with OneNote and you may be tuning in now or later, think of OneNote being a digital binder that actually stays organized. And I trained on OneNote yesterday with a bunch of teachers, and we were talking about how, teenage boys in particular, I've had to organize many of them. And they might have dividers in there, but there's nothing in the dividers. And so if you're an organized person, which I'm not, or you're creative like me, I'm not organized, but I'm creative. I love OneNote because if you're organized, it flows with the way you are. But if you're not organized, it forces you to become organized. And so, Mary, which category are you in?
I am not naturally organized.
Yeah.
I am. I'm kind of funny because I'm much more digitally organized in terms of like file organization structures and that kind of stuff, but I still have a tough time with that. But I like OneNote because it makes me put everything in one place, and it gets rid of that, everything in a file on my desktop. From a professional standpoint, OneNote, I mean, there's so many great applications for it with students. But I also serve as an adjunct professor at Reinhardt University, and the classes that I teach don't have a textbook. So OneNote has become my digital textbook for those classes.
Love it.
I use it to, communicate with them rubrics and assignments and resources and things I want to share with them about that, about the tasks that they need to do to complete the class. I am moving towards using the collaboration feature in the class OneNote. And in the notebook that Susie and I have for y'all, I have the class notebook add-in, because before you kind of had to do that through the web, through Office 365, and now there's actually a more natural way to do it in OneNote.
I love that.
It's fabulous. So the learning tools and that class notebook add-on, I think, are two of the most powerful tools for OneNote in terms of using it with students. But as a classroom teacher, I used it with all of my 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students to make a user's manual for them for their Office 365 accounts. That's how they logged in. They found that. That was how they got all of their information.
Awesome.
And any student that wanted to download Office to use at home on their personal device, the directions were in there. So they had to log into the OneNote to find it. And so it kept them kind of active in that logging in process, because for the little kids, that's the part that's so hard.
Yeah.
And I use OneNote with all of my Science Olympiad and Computer Club students, because that's a lot of paper to go with each event, and what the description of the event is, and rubrics for the events, and judging protocols, and event clarifications, and all of that. So I do it all in a massive OneNote that I send to all of the students, and then we're able to put information in there for each event, and it really works out quite nicely as far as I'm concerned for that. I use it with teachers for staff development. I mean, I keep finding ways to use OneNote, I guess. I did have one little quirky thing that I was desperately seeking. Actually, it was when I was working on my MIE class notebook.
Yeah.
For the MIE class that I did at Carmel. And, of course, I had the template notebook from Sandy and Frida.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a way to find and replace, because I kept finding other schools' names in there.
Yeah.
And OneNote doesn't have a find replace feature. So I started Googling around, because I was like, somebody's got to fix this, somebody way smarter than me. And I found this fabulous plugin for OneNote.
Fantastic. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, OneTastic. And it makes me so very happy.
It makes me so very happy. I have to say that.
So if you ever need, and it also has great calendar integration and all sorts of stuff like that. And so, yeah, it is phenomenal. And was I wish I had downloaded it, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. But it has been such a great addition to that package. So between the learning tools, the OneNote add-in, and OneTastic, it is in business, man.
And linked notes. That's one of the things that has been in there, but I have not used it. And as an English teacher, pop in here. She'll want to see you. John Curtis, come here. My brother and my nephew are at the door, so.
Oh, yes. No, I'm all about a cute baby.
Baby, say hey.
Hi.
Totally
oh, yes.
But look at that cute kid. Come up
See,
close.
That ought to just give us points, because he's cute and
yes.
Fantastic.
Maybe one day, or maybe he just will write in the air or something. I don't know.
Yes.
He wants to get down and run around. He's at that age. Yes.
And I'll tell you, Susie, I am so excited about using OneNote on a Surface.
Yes. I can't wait.
I can't wait, because I think that inking feature in the Surface is going to be so fantastic.
Yes.
So,
because you're like me. I like to write. I like to, we're both.
I like that flow of ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to have a book in my hand. But what I was going to tell you is, with the linked note, I just got distracted by the cute baby at the door. But with the linked notes, I just, as an English teacher, so many times I had kids turn in papers where one of their sources was Google. And I'm like, Google is not a source. Even if it's me, it's not a source. I'm like, you are looking at a search engine. So anyway, getting them to do sources was insane. And then a lot of times they wouldn't remember where they got the information from. And I remember when I was in high school, which I didn't really use a lot of electronic resources back then, but I couldn't remember where I got the information. So I love how if you go into your review tab, and I might in just a second switch over to my computer for Blab so I can show some of this, but if you go into the review tab on OneNote, you can turn on linked notes. Have you ever used them before?
I have used them a little bit, yes.
Yeah. So it brings up a little sidebar, and what that sidebar will do is, until you tell it to stop, it will follow you around the internet, and it only works on Internet Explorer. Now, Edge may have picked it up. I don't know. I haven't tried it with Edge. I'm still a Google Chrome fan, but maybe I'll get on the Edge bandwagon.
You'll get it.
Yeah, for this particular thing, Internet Explorer is the way to go, and it'll follow you around Internet Explorer, which is what a lot of our students use anyway, and it will tell exactly where they were when they took the note. It has a clickable link that'll take them back there. And somebody said, will it write the works cited for them? No, it won't. So they still have to do some research types of things, but at least we have a real where they got their real information. That's very nice to me. And also,
and I'll tell you, the thing that I really like about the linked notes is because it pops it up on the sidebar, even if you're not tracking, it pops up that sidebar that makes it really easy, so you're not having to split the screen.
So yes, I love it. Yeah, it'll take, it'll do that, fits in really well. I am adding to our notebook right now because you already had created an episode 4 section.
Yes.
So I'm adding in there. I just taught 4 cool OneNote things like earlier this week.
Okay.
So I'm going to add more information about the class notebook, OneTastic, all that stuff kind of on separate pages. And then you've got the direct links there as well. So I'm adding those right now. Having
Perfect.
issues.
Yeah,
we
yesterday. The technology gremlins were out in full force.
Yes. Oh, the gremlins. I love little, what was his name? Mowgli? No, that's from Jungle Book. What was Gizmo?
Gizmo.
He was a Mogwai. That's what was confusing me. I was thinking of Mowgli. Anyway. Squirrel.
You know, that's okay. We can chase squirrels all we want. It's our show.
It's Blab. We can do whatever we want. And right now, we're the only people watching. Now, later on, they might be a little distracted.
They may go, what's wrong with those two?
Let's maybe talk about learning tools, because I think, oh my gosh, that's not just cool, but that is so useful for kids been marginalized for probably quite a while. I know I taught a dyslexic student and I just really did not know how to help him. And Forbes magazine, you correct me if I'm wrong, but Forbes magazine, I think, called Learning Tools the breakthrough of the year for dyslexic students or something.
I saw that article. I remember seeing that, and I think it was Forbes, and I think it was the learning tool of, that sounds right. So
okay, I couldn't remember here the century. Anyway, I've got the Forbes article in here, so it's in our.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So anyway. So learning tools. So are you on a computer? Can you demo anything or not?
I am on a computer, but for some reason, all of my plugins for OneNote are not working at the moment.
Oh, good. I love that.
No, I don't have OneTastic. I don't have my learning tools, and I don't have the class notebook add-on, and I had them earlier today.
Fun.
So, isn't it interesting?
I love a good adventure of things not working.
Yeah, but I think, I honestly, that is totally my computer and not indicative of OneNote. My computer has been on the fritz since it was new, and we are just now at the end of its life cycle. I'm on one of the old what's the number? The 6430s.
Yeah, I don't know the order, but that sounds like an old one.
Yeah, it's one of the older ones. So
I have a touch screen, but this is, I think, the 5th computer just since I switched to this job.
Yeah.
Only 2 of them have been on purpose, I think. So yeah, I show our network analysts things that they have never seen before. Like, what in the world did you do?
They do the same thing with me. And at one point, they were like, Mary, how? I'm like, I have no idea. But I also, the first 3 laptops I got from the county all crashed within a week of me owning them. I hadn't done anything. One of them was very clearly a dud, and there were other issues, software issues and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I do have the laptop curse, we'll call it.
Well, I tell you what, I have already recorded, because like I said, I just taught this week and I had to make a makeup session. I have a video that goes over learning tools. I have a video that goes over each of these things.
That's perfect.
The link.
Yeah.
So I will share. It's a mix. I'm going to put that link in the notebook right now for us too. But just a quick overview of learning tools. I love the immersive reader feature. It goes into like a dark screen mode, which is kind of like what Blab does. If people are watching right now, it's the dark background and the light text. And if you just switch back and forth between dark theme and light theme, you can tell immediately how much less exhausting
it
that
totally reduces the eye strain.
Yeah, it's less eye fatiguing. I could not think of that word I was trying to say. And I was trying to download Minicam, but that's distracting me. So anyway, I love that. I also love how it will read to the kids, but it doesn't have to. Like we were talking about, this was an MIE an MIE certification that I'm taking 2 schools through right now. And we were talking about how, self-regulation is one of the learning dimensions in MIE and in the 21st century learning design research. And if kids are going to self-regulate, we have to give them a tool that will allow them to decide when they need it, when they don't, what features they need, what features they don't. So I love that inside learning tools, they can decide light theme, dark theme. They can decide, is this font working for me? Is the spacing too big or too small? Is the, you know, do I want it to read to me or do I not want it to read to me? So it gives you all these options, and the kid is the one. I had somebody ask me, they're like, Susie, is the kid going to like start running our classroom? Not at all. I mean, I'm too sassy for that. I know you're sassy. It's not the kid's going to run the classroom as far as classroom management. But if
the kid's going to have ownership. Yeah.
Yeah, we want him to have agency. I love the word for his own learning. And and OneNote in general, it gives them so much agency. This is my section. I can do this on my page. Right. But learning tool is going to help that struggling learner to have agency as well. So do you want to talk about kind of the class notebook add-in and kind of some functionality? First of all, maybe introduce what class notebook is, and then how did the add-in improve it?
Well, the class notebook really allows students to have separate sections that are just content that they can gather. And Susie, you're gonna have to help me with the naming because of course I can't see one right now. Actually, yes, I can. I know what I can do. Just had an idea. You've got a collaboration space and a content library. And the content library is a place where you put your materials. It's like the file cabinet. You can put the materials in there, and then students can read and copy anything. So if you put a worksheet in there, the students can copy that into their notebook, and then they can add their responses to it. So it's like your masters or your ditto sheets or whatever you needed in there. For me, it was event surveys and things for students for Science Olympiad. Or computer club, and they were able to go in there, pull those items, copy them over. They can't change the base item, but once they copy it into their own notebook, they can do whatever they want with it. My favorite, though, I think, is the collaboration space, because the collaboration space allows you to, it's almost like a post board or a whiteboard that everybody can write on at one time. So you can start a discussion and have it flow into that space. You can have students in a group that are collaborating on something and having a conversation, sharing documents and whatever they need to do in that space. So I really like the collaboration space, and that's what I'm exploring more with my college students now.
And pause there just for a minute, because I know one thing that drives teachers crazy on the collaboration space is, first of all, everybody tries to type in the same spot, and then it causes issues. It'll say like couldn't resolve or whatever. So just one quick tip about that. If the teacher will insert a table on the page first, number the squares, and then each person writes in a square, then you don't have to worry about all the stuff overlapping each other, and then one person gets a jacked up version of it or whatever. So just a little tip. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and that's what I have found, because I really have to think about what I want the end result to look like, and then build the page for that. So if I want it to be a list where they respond in a list format, then I need to do that. If I want it to be in a table, then I need to go ahead and set that up before they start responding, because otherwise then my wanting things to look right on the screen takes over, and I spend way too much time organizing what they've already written. And moving it around.
And if you've ever used Padlet and you forget to choose a layout, like when you do the whole freeform craziness, I'm like, okay, I can't read what anybody's written, so I like a grid or a stream or something. So kind of the same concept on the collaboration space. Yeah. So how do you feel like that the four new buttons the main four buttons that have come from that add-in have helped? Like there's distribute page, distribute section, distribute content library, and then review work, which is my favorite.
Yes. Well, I love how much easier it has made adding students to the notebook, because I was a very early adopter of the class notebook and had a lot of bugs to deal with adding. And a part of it, I think, was, how well was our Active Directory really communicating with it? So I would add students, and then they would only have part of the notebook, and I couldn't fix that. I would take them away, I would add them back. And now that seems to be so much more streamlined and easy. And now if a kid is missing a section, I can just share that section.
Mm-hmm.
And I can troubleshoot that from there because they still have access. It's just for some reason not popping up in their notebook. And it's really resolved that issue.
No, if the staff notebook, because I just forgot about this, I've had that issue with staff notebooks. Can we use the class notebook add-in in a staff notebook?
I believe so. It would be worth trying. Because I'm trying to think when I've done, because I think I've usually used the class notebooks with my staff. I have to check that. Yeah.
I've made a staff notebook, but I have several principals who are using that for their faculty handbook. And
right.
I bet that would really make their lives easier if they thought of something they wanted everybody to have.
Right.
You know, could out. Or also re-adding, like we've had issues before where a person was a teacher or was a student. We gave them the wrong permissions, what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And then we went back and changed those permissions and it was impossible. So just curious.
No, that's true because I haven't tried it with the staff notebook, but I think it probably would.
Yeah. It's the same kind of sections. And I interrupted you again. I'm so sorry.
And that's okay. I get interrupted all day long. It's all good. What else was I going to say about it? But yeah, I think it's just streamlined things that I had to go into the web browser to do, and I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
What else was I thinking? But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think it is just such a great way to organize just life in general.
Yeah.
I'm looking at other notebooks I have. Another thing that I have really enjoyed doing, and I know that it's not the norm for most of my senior project kids to use OneNote. They're still doing the sites or whatever, the SharePoint site. But my the students that I have mentored for senior projects the past couple of years have loved using OneNote for their project and used it as their presentation tool. And done a fantastic job because it gives them a way to stay organized. And then instead of uploading all 50 bajillion files that they have to their SharePoint site, they just had to upload the OneNote.
Yes.
Or put a link to the OneNote, and so they have really liked it. And for one student in particular that I can think of, she was very nervous about presenting and how that was going to flow. But because she was able to set up that presentation in OneNote, it made her presentation go so smoothly, and she was so excited. And this was a student that had really struggled to get to that point that she was even going to graduate, so it was a big deal for her. And it was really spectacular to see how OneNote kind of transformed that for her. And she is in college now and is majoring in special education, and is using OneNote to keep all of her college stuff organized. So it has become a really good tool for her to use outside of, just as an academic tool to regulate her own learning. And so she's been very excited about that.
I keep thinking, because I taught self-regulation this week, I keep thinking of Regulate with Mr. Warren G, which is not a good song, but
it's not a good song.
I got 3 people to laugh at one of the schools. I'm telling you, I could not get a laugh out of anybody, but I got 3 people to laugh, and I thought, okay, this has made it worth it.
This has made it worth it.
I'm going to have to hop off of here,
yes.
But I think we've kind of given the gist and whetted everybody's appetite. I'm sending you a link right now. If you will put this in the comments window, and can you also post the link to, like, a sharing link to our notebook? Would you mind doing that?
I don't mind doing that at all.
Okay. And I'm going to walk down the hall because I don't want to leave you in the room by yourself. But so I will follow you down the hall, and we'll probably hear babies in the background because I am going to keep the sweet babies in the church nursery.
That's awesome.
My Thursday night free volunteer opportunity. Job is a loose term.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll take a tour while you're posting links. We will see all the sweet babies and the sweet babies' mommies. Say hello. You're on live.
Hi.
Isaac, say hi again because you're so stinking cute.
Oh yes.
Oh, he's trying to get out the door. That's always great. Braden, say hi.
That makes Brooklyn day. Hi.
Braden's not a baby, but he comes and hangs out with me sometimes in the nursery too.
He gets to come party with you.
We put him to work.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so did you get the links?
It is coming through now. It's being very,
Okay.
very slow.
More babies, more babies. Say hello.
Oh, yes. Hi.
It smells nice and diapery in here.
Ugh.
Mason, say hey.
Hi, Mason. No, he's like,
Those are
whoa.
my three Thursday night babies.
Those are your Thursday night babies.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna before he starts screaming, I'm gonna come over here and then
Yes.
sometimes when they're locked in, you know, they don't want to. They're like, wait a minute, this is not where I thought I was coming. This jail of a place.
Okay, so there's the link.
Turn sideways.
Okay.
Okay. So that, y'all, is to our notebook, and then she's also going to post a link to an office mix I made that discusses all the features that we couldn't show because we both had technical difficulties tonight, and I'm out, so I had to switch devices. But anyway, you're going to see an overview of linked notes. You're going to see an overview of class notebook add-in, learning tools, and OneTastic. I go over all four of those, and we didn't really talk a lot about OneTastic. She mentioned it, but things that Word can do that you wish OneNote could do, it gives you a little macro store. And my personal favorite, totally non-academic, is set section color. You can go out to
yes, I love the set section color.
There's lots of ways to find a hex code for a color. You know, the 6-digit code that I said 6-digit, and I'm holding up 3 fingers. There's lots of ways to find that, but I like to, on Chrome, there's an add-in called Colorzilla, and it has a little eyedropper, and pick any color from the page, and then it copies it to your clipboard for you to set as your OneNote colors. So just a personal favorite. Did that email not come through?
Well, my email is loading. It says it's been updated, but yeah, it did not come through.
Okay, I was just saying if it was maybe I forgot to hit send, which would be totally typical of me. So anyway, I am going to run back down the hall. Look, it's like you're in a movie or something. It's like something exciting is waiting just around the corner.
You just never know what you're going to get.
I know. Usually I'm sitting in a dark room, and here I'm like in so much light. Okay. Right. Well, it does not show sent, but it also doesn't show here. So it's almost
here it is.
It came?
It came just now.
Am I a crazy nut? Okay.
Apparently, it just wanted you to touch it.
It did.
Now, I will go back to Chrome, and here is the wonderful Office mix that you can watch and see instructions on all of these great tools and plugins.
So we hope you guys have a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
We hope you don't celebrate too raucously and drive dangerously and all that jazz. But
don't drink too many green beverages.
No, not at all. Who knows what's in that? So anyway, we hope that you will tune in, tell a friend about the replay, and we will see you next time on the Microsoft Mix.
Bye, guys. Bye, Susie. Have fun in the nursery.
Bye. You too. I mean, you have fun whatever you're doing. Not in the nursery.
Not in the nursery tonight, no.